Commodus, the emperor who fought as a gladiator. Was he the crazy, incestuous madman like we were all taught he was? Not really. I mean, he was an emperor. They were all kind of like...
I killed the son!
And sure, yeah, he did rename Rome into Commodiana and all the Romans into Commodiani and declared himself Hercules reborn. But and this is another one of those big buts, you know, like the Kardashians, like they used to have in the good old days.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
But Commodus only turned crazy. He only turned crazy after his sister and two closest friends tried to kill him, which, fair enough, bro. That's enough to make any man a bit unhinged. And also, he wasn't just born crazy. When he was young, Commodus was on that Michael Jackson celebrity parents education. Like, his father only cared about Commodus being great, not Commodus having a happy childhood. We all know how that worked out for Michael Jackson. Actually worked out into him being pretty great. Michael Jackson, yeah, a bit messed up in the head, yeah, but Michael Jackson was objectively great. Fair enough. Abusive fathers won, briefed zero. I shouldn't joke. The jokes just get darker with every video. What I'm trying to say is, look at it this way. Commodus was born on August 31st in 161 CE, while his father, Marcus Aurelius, was the emperor. He was the first future emperor born into the purple, meaning the first future emperor born while his father was the emperor, and the emperor wears purple. You get it, hence born into the purple. To continue, in Commodus's own words, I never knew the touch of common cloth. The purple received me as I came forth into the world, and the sun shone down on me, man and emperor, at the same moment. Or to put it into simpler words,
I'm a spoiled ass bitch. I'ma get what I wish.
But Commodus didn't choose the sheltered rich life. The sheltered rich life chose him. Commodus just wanted to be one of the people, one of the boys, be a kid, be a teenager, but he never got that chance. Not when the big stoic, not when Marcus Aurelius is your father. Big stoic Marky Mark was making sure his son got a very strict education to ensure he would be a worthy successor to the age of the 5 emperors. And you have to understand, Marcus Aurelius lost 6 of his children, and so he felt extra about the success of his son, Commodus. Aurelius knew Commodus wasn't exactly cut out to rule, but as an emperor at the time, you can't really have a perfectly fine son of age ready to be heir and then not appoint him. There would be bloodshed. Marcus Aurelius had to make Commodus work, and so he put him to work because he knew Commodus. He wasn't ready. you remember that?
She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
Aurelius saw that as his duty as a father and as an emperor. The destiny of his son was not a common one, but all young Commodus wanted was the common love of a father, and really this clip perfectly describes their relationship. It's a bit of a longer clip, but it just works too well here. Watch this.
How come you ain't never liked me?
Like you? Who the hell said I got to like you? What law is there say I got to like you? Want to stand up in front of my face and ask a damn fool-ass question like that? Talking about liking somebody. Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. I asked you a question. Don't you eat every day? Answer me when I talk to you. Don't you eat every day?
Yeah.
As long as you in my house, you put a sir on the end of it when you talk to me.
Yes, sir.
You eat every day.
Yes, sir.
Got a roof over your head.
Yes, sir.
Got clothes on your back.
Yes, sir.
Why you think that is?
Because of you?
Hell, I know it's because of me, but why do you think that is?
Because you like me?
Because I like you. You're about the biggest fool I ever saw. It's my job. It's my responsibility. A man is supposed to take care of his family. You live in my house, fill your belly with my food, put your behind on my bed because you're my son. Not because I like you, because it's my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you.
Aurelius' way of showing love was providing Commodus with the best education money could buy. He had scholars brought into Rome specifically to teach his son, and even took him along on military campaigns when Commodus was just 10 years old, so that he learns how to lead at 10 years old. And he actually wanted Commodus to co-rule with his brother at some point, but that brother died while young. So when Marcus Aurelius eventually died in 180 CE, Commodus inherited the throne and ruled alone as the Emperor of Rome. Whether he was ready or not, here he came. You can't hide. He's gonna find you and make you love him. Well, I can't rap or sing anymore. At least I'm trying to entertain the people. I hear you snoring in the background. At least I'm trying to put some entertainment on for the people. You know, I get comments about your lack of work ethic. They don't approve of you constantly sleeping. In a last-ditch effort to impose stoic discipline and values on Commodus and the empire, Marcus Aurelius appointed a bunch of his best generals and companions to serve the 18-year-old Commodus in his first year as emperor, especially since Rome was in the middle of a war at the time. They were fighting the Germanic barbarians in the north. They happened for 15 years in the so-called Marcomannic Wars, and young Commodus knew he still lacked experience, and he wanted to prove his worth and that he is a good emperor. So surprisingly, he asked his father's former generals and his advisors what he should do about that war, if they had a strategy that they could share with him. And so they told him, well, young Commodus, we're glad you asked because we think you should...
It doesn't matter what you think!
Of course he didn't ask them. Of course he didn't. He didn't give a damn about no advisors, man. Finally in charge. He was free now. And the first thing Commodus did was enjoy that freedom. My dude had been on the front lines of war since he was a 10. Man, he was tired of it. He wanted to live a little. And now that he no longer needed to obey his father, now that he was the emperor,
Forget about it.
man, those advisors couldn't say anything. They tried to advise him, but Commodus was like,
Excuse me, was you saying something? You can't tell me nothing.
so the first thing Commodus did was end the war. And you think that ending a war is not necessarily a bad thing, but at this point though, the Marcomannic Wars had been waged for 15 years and Rome was on the verge of winning. Calling it off would mean all the lives lost had been in vain. So as Commodus turned his back on the war, his generals and advisors, they begged him to finish this war and not return to Rome. But Commodus was like,
Don't walk away, Danny, don't walk away from me!
Seth. I've already walked away too much.
No, you haven't. You could still come back and just turn around and come back and help me.
Commodus didn't change his mind. He had his generals negotiate peace terms that favored Rome, yeah, but could have been much better had he seen the war through. But he didn't care. Man, he hurried back to Rome with a quickness and held a massive triumph for himself. And imagine you're 18, you were under your father's thumb your entire life, studying and being prepared for a role you didn't want and knew you were not cut out for. And I mean, a lot of you probably don't have to imagine. Many of us had parents trying to push us into a lifestyle or job or duty that we didn't want, right? No? Just me?
They ask you how you are, you just have to
Okay. Nah, my dad is actually amazing. I love you, Dad, if you're watching. Best father in the world. Love you. The only thing Commodus cared for about being the emperor was the lavish lifestyle he could live. And so he held parties, man.
Forget about it.
He held excessive parties and gladiatorial games and feasts. And at just 18, horny Commodus made sure those feasts he held had
A little more room here for the fixins. You know what I'm talking about?
Ooh, we're gonna have a lot of fixes?
We're gonna have so many fixins up in this mother. We call the sauce station the sauce rack. Get it?
But Commodus wasn't just a backed up teenager. He'd learned from his father and he knew how important the people were. So he was smart enough to also hand out food to the common folk. And obviously they loved the games. The gladiatorial bloodshed gladiator games were watched by the emperor and the people alike. So it brought them level and was one of the few times that people could see the emperor sitting in his box. Imagine it Imagine it like in football stadiums when fans do chants. Yeah, the Roman people could actually shout at the emperor and interact with him. It was great. He felt like one of them for as long as the gladiators were shedding blood in the sands of the Colosseum. The people loved Commodus, and Commodus loved being loved, since that was the one thing his father wasn't good at giving him, or at least not good at showing him. So how much did he crave their love?
A lot.
How much did he love them back?
A lot.
How many games did he hold?
A lot.
Basically, this was his chance to be one of the boys. He essentially bought the people's loves, and at the expense of the empire's treasury. If you know anything about Rome, you know that many emperors that are loved by the people and spent money on lavish events for the people, they're often hated by the elites. And that's how. In the case of Commodus, the elites that wanted to kill him were his own sister, Lucilla. Long before Commodus was emperor, Marcus Aurelius had his daughter, Lucilla, married to his co-emperor and adopted brother, Lucius Verus, because every Roman story needs at least a little bit of incest, even if it's like adoption incest. That meant that Lucilla was the empress. She was Augusta, an honorary title she held even after her husband died, until Commodus became emperor and his wife, Bruttia Crispina, became Augusta, the empress, leaving Lucilla to just be Lucilla. And Lucilla didn't want to just be Lucilla. She liked her fancy title. So she went to her husband, who had been a former general under Marcus Aurelius, and told him they should take the throne from her brother so she can have her fancy title back and he can sit on the throne. But her husband was like,
I told you I don't want it.
It doesn't matter what you want.
Luckily, Lucilla also had a lover on the side, whose casual, breezy name was Marcus Aurelius Quadratus Annianus. We're gonna go with Quadratus for short. Quadratus was a rich side man, and you know how these side men are when they're trying to impress a woman and get her to divorce her main guy. They'll do anything, and a thirsty man is a powerful ally. Remember that, ladies. You're welcome. That made Quadratus the perfect accomplice to murder Lucilla's brother for her, and he used his connections to enlist a senator into their scheme, Quintianus, which is kind of funny to me because one's name is Quadratus and the other is Quintianus. Who's next in this gang of assassins? Sextus? God damn, it's like Roman history was written by bad writers. So Quadratus, Quintianus, and I guess Sextus were Lucilla's muscle, and ultimately it was agreed that the senator, Quintianus, would use his cover as senator to simply lure Commodus into a one-on-one meeting and kill him, just like Julius Caesar was once killed by senators, except Quintianus was man enough to do it all on his own, and so he did do exactly that. But just before he killed Commodus, Commodus was like, wait, why are you doing this? I didn't want to act that strong. I choked. wait, why are you doing this? And Quintianus said,
I'm glad you asked that because I wanted to take this time to explain my evil plan.
And he did. The guy really did the whole B-movie villain evil plan speech, telling Commodus how his sister and the Senate want him dead, and this idiot took so long that Commodus' bodyguards arrived and stopped Quintianus and killed him. And then Commodus did a good old purge and killed anyone suspected to be involved in the plot to murder him, and that's how. Thanks to the gossipy Quintianus, Commodus now knew that the Senate was an enemy, and so from now on he constantly executed some senators or took their money or both, all to minimize the Senate's power and also to finance his lavish lifestyle. Of course, killing a bunch of senators leaves a lot of empty positions of power, and others rose up, people that Commodus trusted, and one of those people was Tigidus Perennis, and he became Commodus' best friend. So, of course, Since Commodus never cared about the administrative duties of being emperor, he basically let Perennis rule the empire. So by 183 CE, Perennis was the emperor in all but name, and Commodus was emperor in excesses and spending only. Perennis made sure that no one was plotting against Commodus and kept purging on every whim of his suspicion, and with so many rich men being executed, a lot of money came his way. So in having Commodus's back, Perennis made himself the richest man in Rome, and it seemed like it would be smooth sailing from here on out if it wasn't for Commodus's other BFF, Marcus Aurelius Cleander. Cleander was a former slave from Turkey who once uncovered that Commodus' chamberlain was planning to kill the emperor and killed the chamberlain instead, saving Commodus, and since then he was close to the emperor, rising in rank to become his most trusted associate next to Perennis. Both Perennis and Cleander wanted to be the Robin to Commodus's Batman and tried to get rid of one another, and it was really convenient that right around that time, at another big Gladiator game where Commodus was in attendance, an old man rushed on the field, not to streak, no, nobody wants to see that, but to randomly warn Commodus that the sword of Perennis was at his throat. Of course, Perennis denied all of it, and had the old crazy man burned to death and told Commodus, old people these days, huh? But Commodus' mind had been incepted. Suddenly, he remembered all the things Perennis did to gain power for himself and make himself rich, and that Perennis appointed his own son to be in charge of a whole Roman region. Commodus wasn't so sure how he felt about Perennis anymore, and Cleander made sure to tell Commodus exactly how to feel about Perennis. Then, one day, soldiers arrived in Rome, soldiers from the very region where Perennis' son was in charge, and as they reported to Commodus, they told him that in said region, coins were being minted with Perennis' face on it. If you don't know what that means, having your face on a coin means you're the emperor, or you're planning to kill the emperor to become the emperor. And if you're planning to overthrow someone, and an old man already threw shade on you publicly in front of the emperor, man, don't put your face on coins, man, that's just dumb. Even Commodus looked at Perennis like,
I mean, you're either stupid or you're dangerous, man. And you can't be stupid because stupid people know they can't push my buttons and piss me off. So you must be dangerous. To who? To yourself.
And he had Perennis beheaded and then also killed Perennis' son, and that's how. So now, in 185 CE, Cleander was Commodus number 2. Why do we call that number 2? Like, if it's from Commodus' point of view, wouldn't the most trusted man by his side be his number 1? Or do we start the numbering with ourselves and we're number 1 and your closest associate is your number 2? You're my number 1. You're my number 1. I'm sorry. Go on. You're my number 1. I love you. At this point, Commodus didn't trust anyone in Rome anymore and rarely even appeared in public. He mostly spent time in his villa, away from Rome, partying all day, all night, and let Cleander run the empire. Because if trusting your number 1/number 2 to rule in your stead goes wrong once, surely it's not gonna go wrong twice. Cleander was the definition of corrupt, and all he cared about was getting rich.
Chain, getting paid over here.
He sold governorships to the highest bidder, military commands, senatorships, and once appointed 25 consuls in 1 year. There's only supposed to be 2 consuls in 1 year. Cleander was putting out for the highest bidder long before OnlyFans, and to make sure he could keep enriching himself, he sent Commodus a lot of that money so that the emperor stays away and stays happy, spending money and living the good life, drinking and partying in his villa like. Then, in 189 CE, Rome was hit by a plague, and famine spread across the capital, and along with the famine, a rumor spread. Word on the street was that Cleander was hoarding grain to use the famine to his profit and control the people. Word had it that maybe Cleander was responsible for the plague in the first place, and so word quickly turned into anger, and soon all of the common people of Rome wanted Cleander's head. And so Cleander asked for a pillow, got on his knees, and asked the people to please hold his hair back and... I'm so sorry. Layup, yo. That was a layup. That was a right-handed layup. Man, that was too easy. The good thing is, if you're too young to get it, you just won't get it. So it's not even a problem for you teachers showing this video in class. Hi, kids. The people wanted to see Cleander dead, but Cleander very much wanted to see Cleander live, and so he sent out legions to slaughter all the rioters. But the rioters fought back, and soon Rome was on the brink of civil war. So of course, eventually, word of the bloodshed reached Commodus, and common people. Commodus did not like what Cleander was doing to his common people, so he came back to Rome and confronted Cleander about, bro, you're driving Rome into ruin. Like, what the hell are you doing? And Cleander, who had so much blood on his hands, you'd think he was a midwife, was trying to act all innocent, like...
Me? You mean me?
But he couldn't fool Commodus any longer, and so that's when... Commodus didn't just kill Cleander in any way, though. Nah, he had him beheaded and then put his head on a spear and gave it to the masses so they can have some fun with it. Then he killed all of Cleander's homies and sons and also gave their dead bodies to the crowd to do weird things to them. It's safe to say that this is around the time that Commodus turns into the crazy and evil Commodus you know him as. And fair enough, though. I mean, think after his two best friends and his sister betrayed him, now Commodus had no one left to trust, so with no one he cared for, it was time for another purge. And once the city was purged of everybody that could possibly oppose him, Commodus returned to actively take the throne and to leave no doubt whose house Rome was. He then renamed the city into Commodiana. And he also decided that he is now the reincarnation of the mythical founder of Rome, Romulus. Which I guess is not that weird, because in the past year alone, I, myself, met two people who thought they were Aphrodite, reborn, and another dude who thought he was like some Hindu god, avatar, reborn. So yeah, reincarnation is actually a thing now, right now in real life, yeah. But renaming the city and being its reborn founder wasn't enough for Commodus, so he decided that he was meant for even bigger things. So now Rome was Commodiana, and its people were the Commodiani, which sounds like a comedy, but Commodus was very serious and also decided he was actually two reincarnations in one. He was also Hercules reborn, and with two divine reincarnation ancestors, whatever. It was time for him to change his name to something more suitable, something that rolls off the tongue better. Commodus now officially called himself Imperator, Kaiser, Lucius, Aelius, Aurelius, Commodus, Augustus, Pius, Felix, Darmaticus, Germanicus, Maximus, Britannicus, pacifier of the whole earth, invincible, the Roman Hercules, Pontifex Maximus, holder of the tribunician authority for the 18th time, Imperator for the 8th time, consul of the 7th time, father of his country, two consuls, praetors, tribunes, and the fortunate Commodian Senate. Greetings. I don't know why he added greetings in the end. And then he renamed all the months of the year after all of his names. The only thing in Rome, Commodiana, that didn't have Commodus written all over it yet was the gladiatorial arena. So Commodus decided that the Commodiani should now watch him fight against chained up defenseless animals and gladiators equipped with sponges, and for the privilege of them watching him unspectacularly defeat sitting ducks, he paid himself 1 million sesterces for each performance. About $10 million today, at least, depending on what inflation you use, which based on pay per effort made Commodus one of the highest paid athletes to this day.
To this day!
Unsurprisingly, at this point, all the elite Commodiani in Commodia were like, they were tired of being forced to watch him fake fight in the arena, tired of his statues as Hercules all over the city, tired of him bankrupting Commodiana, and tired of a goddamn being called Commodiana. They wanted Rome back. And then came New Year's Eve, 192 CE, a day on which the emperor usually makes an appearance during the celebrations, an appearance on palace grounds. But this time around, Commodus wanted to make his great appearance in the gladiatorial barracks, in full armor, surrounded by other gladiators. And I mean, say what you will about the guy, but at least he wanted to be close to his boys, the boys that were paid to hang out with him and paid to lose to him, but still, the boys. He wanted to be one of them, even on this important occasion of him appearing as the emperor, and that really brings us full circle to our original statement, doesn't it? The boy born into the purple just wanted to be one of the boys, and that exact desire was his downfall. Gladiators were considered to be on the same low level as slaves and prostitutes. I mean, they were slaves. To the posh Romans, it was bad enough that Commodus was hanging out with these slaves, partying with them and being friendly with them, but Commodus wanting to appear in the barracks and sharing this holy special occasion with them, it was considered a huge disgrace. And everybody around Commodus told him not to do it. Don't do it, including those closest to him, his mistress Marcia Eclectus, a trusted servant, and Aemilius Laetus, the praetorian prefect of the time. They all told him he'd make a fool of himself and to please come to his senses and distance himself from these low-life gladiators. So Commodus, of course, listened to their worries, and then he told them,
I'm going to kill each and every one of you, and the only disappointment in it for me is that I only get to do it once.
Seriously, he was so pissed that they disagreed with this idea, he wanted them dead. Except he didn't have them killed right away. He wrote their names on his to-do list of people to kill later. Yeah, he really had a list like that. And his mistress found Commodus's death note, and now that she knew he was planning to kill her and the others after his disgraceful gladiator barracks ceremony, she and the others had a simple decision they were faced with.
You kill or you die.
And unsurprisingly, they chose to kill. And so Marcia, his mistress, brought Commodus poisoned wine to do the deed. But it wasn't strong enough, and Commodus just ended up violently vomiting it all out, still clinging to life, so that his three assailants had to bring in a wrestler to finish the job. But they didn't just bring in any wrestler. They brought in the very man that Commodus trusted to make him one of the boys. The man who trained him to be a gladiator, a man named Narcissus. So in the end, the emperor with the lost childhood, the emperor who just wanted to be one of the boys, wanted to be cool like the fighters so desperately that he had planned to hold one of the empire's important addresses amongst his fellow fighters. That man, Commodus, was strangled to death by one of the boys. How about that for a very twisted circle of life? And now you know the story of Commodus.